So we've done, over the last few trainings, we've done a really high overview of mortgage processing. We've jumped into a couple of processes. We've jumped into a couple of processes pretty detail oriented. Today, what I'm going to do is show you how to, from the time you receive a file, how I feel like you should set up processing, receiving a file, and what those steps really look like. Okay, so we have this model of workflow that I use pretty much every time. That goes, I want to be over here. Okay, it goes application, which is where the 3.2 is generated. Okay, and then you have registration, which is where the loan number is created. And you have submission, underwriting or approval, and then closing. And that we go back and forth in this process. Whoops, no, sorry, not here, here. In order to get clear to close, or CTC, to go to closing. Okay, and I know last time I think I said we were going to jump into the closing disclosure, but I feel like there is some stuff that we need to address before we get into the closing disclosure process. So we're going to push that to later this week or next week. But what we're going to talk about is, we've talked a lot about the flow and when as a processor you might get to the file. But what I realized for my staff and my newer staff that I've brought on is I haven't really walked them through how that actually happens, okay? So if you are a processor, I want to speak to how you receive the file, how you should set it up, the steps in which you do this, but also if there's a loan officer assistant or a loan officer in here, really nailing down like how you should be structuring the file or what information you need to be sending to your processor, or if you're someone that's a loan officer assistant, because there isn't always going to be a handoff, okay? So previously we've talked about, and if it wasn't in this processor training or you didn't hear me say it, do me a favor and please unmute and tell me that I didn't say this in this class, but I'm pretty sure I did. Where we were talking about your workflow. Why is my black marker of all markers? All right, so we're talking about workflow, right? That the cutoff time is noon. Skylar, did we talk about this in the processing class like a couple times before? Skylar's saying yes, Lisa's saying no. Okay, so let me talk about this just really quick. Okay, so
sorry, I may have missed it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. Okay, so most of our lenders, so just to recap, when you're working in broker, most of the lenders have a cutoff time. Okay, so files, when they're submitted, okay. Okay, when files are submitted to the lender, they get time stamped. Okay, once they're time stamped, if they're time stamped at what time they go into the queue to be reviewed for underwriting. Okay, it's a first in, first out system. It's the industry's response to preventing any sort of preferential, my words aren't coming out right. Okay, it is a first in, first out system where they timestamp submissions is to prevent any sort of preferential treatment, which could then be considered discrimination. Okay, so my personal experience is when I worked at Wells Fargo, part of the package that we would need from people is their ID. Well, some customer didn't get the answer that they wanted, and it wasn't my file, so I guess I can't really speak to it. From what I understand, a customer did not get what they wanted and felt like that they didn't get the answer they wanted shortly after turning in their ID, and so they began to launch suggestions that they were being discriminated against. Okay, so as technology advanced, we go to this time system. If you've ever worked in the restaurant industry, it's first in, first out, right? When you're restocking the shelves, right, Skylar? You put the label on, the sticker that this was done on Tuesday, you move those to the front, and you put the Wednesday and Thursday prepped items in the back, okay? So, time stamped. But there's a cutoff time that, and most of the time it's noon of whatever time zone the bank is in. So for example, it's 10 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. If I submit a loan for today at 10 o'clock, it's going to get stamped today at 10 a.m. Okay, so if they have a 2-day turn time, for crying out loud, a 2-day turn time, and I turn it in today on 4/21, then I'm expecting this out 4/23. Okay, if I submit, thank you, if I submit this after 12 o'clock, let's see if this is the word flow juice. If I submit it after 12 o'clock, then it's actually, so what you'll see is it'll say like 4/21 at 10:03, okay? But if I submit it, let's say I don't work on it until the afternoon and I submit it at 2 p.m., it's just gonna say 4/22. Gonna get logged as received for tomorrow's pipeline. So as a processor, you wanna, in my opinion, you wanna work on your submissions in the morning, okay? You wanna work on pushing files from here to here in the morning before noon, okay? Then set an alarm in your phone for 12:15. Get up from your desk and go eat lunch, okay? I've said this before, my kids used to tease me all the time. They'd be like, Mom, your lunch alarm's going off. It's time for lunch. Go to recess. But the thing is in this job, the work never ends. So if you don't do that, you will barrel through this. And then at 1 or 2 o'clock, in the afternoon, you're gonna realize you haven't eaten all day. And then you're gonna be grouchy and an underwriter is gonna call you and you're gonna bite their head off and then you're gonna have to apologize and buy them an Starbucks gift certificate and like all this stuff, right? So 12:15, take a lunch. Okay, but I digress. So in the mornings, you wanna work on submissions. Once you're done with submissions, you wanna work on conditions, okay? Or save your conditions for the afternoon. Same thing with conditions, right? Still the same 12 o'clock timeline. Okay, so that's how you want to structure your day. If you have conditions left over from the afternoon before, then you got to do the conditions first so they go in today before noon. Like if you got an approval yesterday afternoon at 3 o'clock, you got to get those conditions in today before noon and then work on your submissions from yesterday and then submissions from today. Does that make sense? Bruno's having a hard time getting in here. I'm sorry, bruh. I've tried to like let you in 3 times. Hopefully Bruno made it in that time. I don't know why he wouldn't get in earlier. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Does anybody have any questions about that? Does that make sense, Skylar? Oh, okay, good. Great. I'm specifically asking Skylar because she's my staff and I want to make sure that like my staff is getting trained. Like I love y'all, but really this opened up because I need to make sure my staff gets trained. Okay, so that being said, oh, hold on. Don't go there. Fuck. Don't go here. No. Here? Yeah, don't go there. Okay. All right. So what's going to happen is you should be getting, I can't really speak to how, so I'm going to speak to how we do it in my company. Okay, you guys are just going to have to make adjustments for how it's done in your company, or if you're a third-party processor, how this works for you guys. Okay, so Tyler and Tyler are a loan officer, loan processor team. Okay, so what my suggestion would be, and I'm going to do a little bit of screen sharing here. Okay, so in our Outlook, we have access to OneDrive. Okay, so what I would do is I would try and make, so I'm gonna make a new folder. We're just gonna call it training folders, okay? Just for now, we have one already, but just for the sake of doing this. So if you're a processor that's processing for multiple people in your OneDrive, I would make each loan officer their own file. Yes, I have a file that says Max's Shiznit folder. This is a file for a loan officer that always asks me, not always, he sometimes sends me really weird shit and wants my opinion on it. And I'm like, let me just make you a folder, upload it there, don't email it to me, okay? So what you do is you make, I would suggest that you make a folder for each loan officer. Inside that folder for that loan officer, okay, you're gonna make, oh, I don't know what I just clicked here, hold on. Okay, Jones purchase, okay, however you wanna identify it. I will tell you that a system of identifying and label documents is important. I'm gonna stop screen sharing for a second because this is super important. In order to be efficient and effective, you want to establish a system of naming documents and files because this is where you're going to live. And if it doesn't make sense to you or you spend a lot of time looking for this stuff, it's just wasted time. So here's how we do it and here's how I would like it done in my company. You may decide to take a different approach. In my company, we always do the last name followed by the type of loan. Now we have a lot of repeat clients, like a lot of repeat clients. So sometimes we put the year, okay? So this might say Jones refi 2020. And you just put a period in between there, okay? So that's how it's going to look in my folder. See, purchase 2020, okay? I don't always put the year on a purchase because they're not going to be purchasing a property every year unless they're like an investor, okay? So then what we do, we go into this folder. What you should see in there, because hopefully the loan officers created it, but if they didn't, if they just sent you an email and said, hey, here's the 3.2 file, right? You're going to come into the folder. And then what we do right away is we create Jones borrower doc folder. Okay. Then what we do is we share this link. So we copy the link and then we go to our email and I'm just going to send this to my admin, like pretend like it's the client. Okay. Documentation. Okay, so we've already had our meet and greet, whatnot. Okay, so we say, hi, Mr. Jones. My name is Jackie, and I am working with Tyler. I have attached your borrower folder link. This is the place don't worry about my typos, y'all. My computer's real high. I don't know how to type like this. We'd like for you to use to upload the documents we request from you through this process. Okay, whatever verbiage you have, then we paste the link, and then we send this email to the borrower. Okay, that's what we do. Because then we're not emailing documents back and forth with the borrower. Okay, now y'all have to remember, I don't run a big brokerage. Okay, we don't run a big brokerage. I'm not going to spend $1,500 to sign up for K-Lake Central and then pay another $400 a month for access to a server to do the exact same thing that OneDrive does for me for free. For free. Okay? So when you get documents, so what you're going to do as a processor, right, is you're going to get an email from the loan officer, or if you have a nice, respectful loan officer, if you are a nice, respectful loan officer, you're going to go in there and you're going to create a borrower folder. You're going to save the 3.2 file, and you're going to load it into that folder for your processor, okay? Now, when you get documents, I'm going to tell you that you should label them all the same. Okay, so you should label it the type, and then the identity. Sorry, the type, the date, and then the identity. Okay, so what does that mean? When I'm in the borrower folder, okay, so now I'm in here. Let's say the borrower uploaded a bunch of documents. I'm going to, let me show you. Okay, so like this is our training docs. So you see the name, the type, and then what it is. Okay, so if this was a borrower document, you would see things like, let me grab this. Okay, so for example, if you had a married couple, you would see W-2 19, because it's for 2019, and then this one's Jaime's, and then W-2 19, and maybe this is Stella's. Okay, and then W-2 18 Jaime, and W-2 18 Stella. Because when you go to do your conditions or you go to do your submissions and it just says W-2, or it just says doc 201357296XJP, you have no idea what that document is. And you're going to spend all this time opening all the documents. So when you receive the documents, you got to organize your file. Okay. It's kind of like, I'm trying to think in here. I don't really know what it's like, you guys. It's just, it's a mess. Okay. You just got to clean the mess. It's like when your fucking family puts all the dishes in the sink and nobody knows how to do them. You just got to rinse them out and put them in the damn dishwasher. Okay. Plates by plates and bowls by bowls, right? If you load your dishwasher that way, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. So you want to, okay. So you might have like pay stub. Pay stub. And maybe this is his 4-1 and it's Jaime's. Okay. ID, Jaime. ID, Stella. You might have asset, January, asset, 0120. Okay, but does everybody get the point? So when your borrowers upload documents into that folder or you get stuff from the loan officer, you got to clean your file up or you're going to miss stuff. You're going to miss stuff on your submission. You're going to miss stuff on the condition. Now, when you get your approval sheet, sorry, jumping ahead, let me go back. Okay, so we have created we've created the folder. Let me go back. Okay, so we've created the folder, right? So training, let's just pretend like this is the actual, so we go to files, right? You can see I have a folder, Kelly has a folder, right? If you click in there, you would see all of our loans, same way that I'm teaching you guys, borrower's last name, okay? Now, in here, this is the Jones borrower doc folder. So this is where we're wanting the borrower to upload all their documents that we've asked them for. It's how we, without having to have zip drive or Google Docs or anything like that, or Dropbox, we can get documents from the borrower easy peasy, okay? In this folder is where you should have your, let me just upload, I'm just gonna upload a 3.2 file. Because I know I got one, okay? So it's in there. Now I'm gonna register the loan. So my loan officer's done their job. They've let me know, hey, this one's gonna go to Remen. And the 3.2 already says it's at 4%. They may or may not tell you in that email, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna upload the 3.2 into the lender's portal and get you that loan number. Okay. Once you have that loan number, you're gonna finish the registration process, get it registered. Depending on the bank, the next, I'm like all over, I don't like this. Okay. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna break this down. So registration, you're gonna register. Okay, which means you got the loan number. Then you're gonna do your submission sheets. Okay, not all lenders have a submission form, but some of them do. If you are a processor for a broker, then the other thing that you should do is within this main folder or within your company folder, if you're processing for more than one company, you should create a new folder. And we have this as well. And it says lender forms. Okay. And I'm going to upload this because I already know that in our company, we have I think it's in here. So like, here's our N2 sub form, here's Remen's broker forms, right? I feel like we had these already combined somewhere, but I'm gonna upload these, right? So that every time that I submit a form to Remen, I can just go in here and grab the packet, fill it out, and then save it into the borrower's folder, okay? So you're gonna do the submission form and any other lender forms. Okay, then you're going to upload all the lender forms and the submission package. Okay, what's a submission package? We've talked about this a little bit, but the submission package is going to be the minimum required documents to get the loan into underwriting. Okay, so you've got to have your I think, give me 1 second. So I think, let me see if this will work. Give me 1 second because I'm going to upload. Sorry, give me 1 second because I am going to upload for you a sample submission form and show you this really quick. Nope, not in there. I think I'm in the wrong drive. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Let's do this. I'm going to screen share. Okay, so we were in here. We've got our lender forms. Nope. On the submission sheet, it's going to have at the bottom, let me zoom this in. Okay, it's going to tell you minimum required documents for loan submission. Okay, if your lender doesn't have, like every lender has this, okay, they may not have a submission form, but every lender in their resource area is going to have like a submission checklist or minimum required forms. Once you've done this a few times, you get the gist of it. You know what's going to be needed. So for example, in Remen, you got to have this broker form. Okay, you got to have their TRID certification. This is just a form that says if you're doing lender paid or borrower paid. Blah, blah, blah. Because Remen rediscloses, you got to have your loan estimate, the borrower's intent to proceed, a settlement provider list, and the fully executed 1003. I've gotten lots of loans through without a fully executed 1003. So a lot of times they'll push it through and then you just get conditioned on the approval for the signed one. Now, suggested underwriting stacking order.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
Going back to that form, there was a second column to the right of what you read. What was the difference between the two?
So this is if Remen is disclosing, and this is if you as the broker are disclosing. And
Okay.
if it's a lender that allows the broker to disclose, then you're going to have two different requirements for initial loan estimate, because almost all banks redisclose after you do. Okay. And that's a little bit more advanced, but just to kind of surface level answer the question. So a stacking order, a lot of this terminology is still really old. Okay, so a stacking order is from when we used to have paper files, and you would have a manila envelope, and at the top of the envelope was two prongs, and you would stack the documents in it and then flatten the prongs down. Okay, so the interesting thing that they still call it a stacking order, but most of the time what happens, oh, for crying out loud. Most of the time what happens is once you upload these into the system, some systems mush them all together and then they pay somebody to unmush them, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, but whatever, I don't do technology. Sometimes they don't mush them together, but somebody goes in and puts them in buckets or folders on the back side. We don't see that on what I would call the user interface side, so we don't see it on our side, okay? But so here's the suggested stacking order. Here are the things that they want to see in the file in order to get it to go to underwriting, okay? They want the automated underwriting findings, okay? If it's FHA or VA, they want the FHA case number or the VA assignment number, which you get out of WebLGY. You got to upload the credit report. Now, credit explanation, you don't have to do that. And we talked about this a little bit a few days ago, right? Where like if you have long turn times, what are things that you can get added into the file in order to clean up your approvals? A credit explanation letter is one of them. Okay, mortgage or rental history, not all loans require that. So it's not a minimum requirement like this is suggested. I would say that payoff statement, if it's a refi, you may or may not have it. We typically almost always have it because we order it right away. But you got to have your income and pay stubs. Okay, assets, you have to have that. You don't have to have earnest money or title or appraisal. You're not going to have that stuff yet, right? So this is actually kind of a shitty example. So let me give you my own list because that sucks. All right. So we're talking about our process flow, right? So you register, get the loan number, you complete the submission form, you complete the lender forms. Then you're going to upload the lender forms you just completed and the submission pack. So what is the submission pack? Okay. So a sub pack, okay, you have to have credit, the credit report, you got to upload that. You're going to have the AUS or underwriting, the automated underwriting. Can you all see that? I feel like that marker is not, my markers are drying out. Okay, you're going to need to have the income. Most places are going to stop your file. You need to have pay stubs and W-2s. If it's self-employed, you need to have tax returns. I would even go one further as a processor and do the state. So in Colorado, we have our Secretary of State runs a business site where you register your business and you can go look up a business and it'll tell you whether or not the business is in good standing. And that's one of the things, one of the documents that we use to verify their employment. Okay, so I would go ahead and include that, like any sort of state business lookup, validating the business. Okay, and assets, so bank statements. Okay, so in order to get the loan pushed into underwriting, you got to have the minimum requirements. Now, some banks are going to have a little bit more than that. You just do it case by case, okay? But the objective is to get that thing into underwriting as quickly as possible. Now, sometimes you may sacrifice getting it in sooner and leaving information out. Sometimes you may sacrifice getting it in sooner to have more information. It depends on your turn time for closing. Okay, but then you want to get it submitted, right? So we submit the submission pack and then it's going to put us in here. Then what you're going to do, which one, can I erase this one or this one? 1 or 2? Erase number.
The sub pack.
Okay. Okay. Now, you've submitted the loan. Okay, so we're here. In my company, because we use Calyx, we create a couple of forms. We create the RFT, RFI, which is request for title and request for insurance. Okay, we create a written VOE if it's not in the file. Okay, we're going to create the LOEs, letters of explanation. You only use X if you ever worked in the restaurant industry, because that's the way that the restaurant industry works. LOX for, you could do credit inquiries and address. Now, you don't have to do this. You can wait until your approval comes out. Like if you have a really heavy pipeline and you're processing a lot of loans, let's say, you know, you've been doing this 3 to 6 months and you're processing 5 loans, you may not want to do this until you get your approval out, which means that we submitted it to underwriting, the underwriter reviewed it, and now we have a condition sheet. Okay, you're going to create these at minimum, these 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, how do you do that? If you have access to Calyx, before I screen share, let me just make sure I don't have a file open like I did last week. Okay. We've shared this before, but I'm going to share it again because we're diving into this exactly. Okay, so this is Jaime Jones. This is the employee we've been working with for the last couple of weeks. Everything in here is fictitious. Okay, so on the left-hand panel, right here, request for. Okay, so we're going to go request for title. We previously did this, you guys. We did this in a training last week, right? But you enter in your loan number. We talked about how to store the lender information. You're going to literally PDF these forms. So I'm going to print this. And I'm going to save it. Just for, let's see, I think we have it, this folder in here. Yep, there it is. So there's our training folder, right? These are our lender forms. This is the Jones purchase we're working on. So we're going to save this in here. Request, whoopsies. I like all caps because I'm psycho like that. RFT, request for title. Okay. Then you go over here, you put all the information in, then you go to the next one, request for insurance. Do the same thing. I'm going to print it. I'm going to save it in the borrower folder, RFI, request for insurance. And then I'm going to go to Verifs. Okay, I'm going to import the information from the loan application. It's going to import everything that I put in page 2. Okay, I'm going to print this. I'm going to save this as written VOE, unsigned. Okay. Oh wait, written VOE, Taco House, unsigned, because maybe Jaime had 2 jobs in the last 2 years and I'm going to have more than 1 VOE. Okay, so I'm going to save that. Then I'm going to go into that folder. If you have some sort of software that slaps your signature on things, you're going to go in that, which is really easy to do nowadays. Like if you don't have a PDF, oh, we printed the wrong VOE. We're going to do a standard VOE. Let me reprint that. Okay, I'm going to go into my written verification of employment. I'm going to sign it because Lord knows how I love as a processor getting dinged on my VOE because it's missing my damn signature. You only get hit with that about 3 times before it's fucking annoying. Sorry. If you're new here, I just want to point out my fine print disclaimer. Sorry. Just, it's on the picture. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna slap my signature on that, okay? Then I'm gonna go to my email, right? Or like if this is a contract, ooh, hello. Hi guys, welcome to Facebook. Okay, so I created these forms and now I'm gonna send them out, okay? How do I do that? If you have a contract, so this is a purchase, so that's what we're gonna talk about, okay? You're gonna pull up the contract. And every state is different. So like Colorado doesn't tell you shit. It just tells you the name of the company, land title. So what we do as a practice is we Google the name of the title company and the city the property is in. So for example, Skylar's working on a file this week. The property is in Colorado Springs. I don't remember the title company off the top of my head, but let's just say it's land title. So she's going to Google land title Colorado Springs, and then she's going to call the land title office in Colorado Springs, and the person's going to answer and be like, "Hello, this is Stacy. Thank you for calling land title Colorado Springs. How can I help you?" And Skylar might say, "Hi, my name is Skylar. I'm a mortgage processor. I'm working on a purchase. It's for 123 Main Street. Can you tell me who my closer is?" Okay. And they're going to say, "Oh yeah, it's Junie B. Jones." And you say, "Okay." And she'll be like, "Oh, you want me to transfer you?" And you'll be like, "No, it's cool. Can I just get Junie B. Jones's email? I'm going to send a request for title work over." Okay. She's going to give you the email. You're going to send. So what we try and do in our company, and I don't really know, I haven't done this in years. So like Isabel's done it, but she's created several different signatures. So when she's sending out an email to title, she just changes her signature and it has all the documents that we want from title. Like all of a sudden my hair is falling out and I'm getting all these wispies and I feel like a spider's on me. Sorry. Okay. So she's going to send the email to Junie B. Jones at title requesting the documents that we want returned back to us. Okay. If you don't know what that list is, for the sake of time, we have another training that went over that. It's probably like 2 or 3 trainings ago. I would just recommend on these processor trainings, they're an hour long, just go back and rewatch them every now and then. But we went through the list of documents that we would want requested for title work, okay? Now, insurance gets a little bit tricky, especially on a purchase loan, okay? At the time that you're doing all of this, the borrower is trying to take their earnest money in, they're trying to get an inspection done, they're really heavy on the real estate side of the transaction. So what you're going to do is you're going to send an email to, depending on what your place in the transaction is. So for example, my processor that works on my files and Skylar have permission to email the client directly. So they're going to send an email to the client to introduce themselves, right? When they did that, when they sent the email with the folder, they might send another email that says, "Hey, Mr. Jones, I hope your inspection went well. The next thing that I'm going to be working on for you is your property insurance. I'd like for you to reach out to whoever provides your auto insurance and start working on a quote. We're also going to send it to a local insurance broker. Let me know when you have your quote in. I'm going to forward you this quote from the local insurance broker that is going to quote it out for you." We do this as a service ad for our clients. You may not do that. Colorado has a right to choose insurance. We can't require that they use somebody, but as a financial advisor, how do you know what a good price for a policy is if you only get one price? Right? Now you can also establish a relationship, your loan officer or you as a processor. If your loan officer doesn't have an established relationship, you can establish a relationship with the local insurance broker. They do the same thing we do. They take the application, they shop it around to Safeco, Travelers, Progressive sometimes, Geico sometimes, right? And they come back with a good quote. And then we just send it off to Mr. Jones and we say, hey, Mr. Jones, here's a quote from Brenda at Main Street Insurance Agency. Take a look at it. If you have any questions, Brenda's information is below. Give her a call. Okay. Now, when you get this approval back in 2 days, one of the things that's going to be on there is to get insurance. So you can check back in with Mr. Jones in 2 days and say, hey, Mr. Jones, I wanted to follow up and see if you've made a decision about which company you're going to use for your homeowner's insurance. Okay. Once you get that information, then you can send the request for insurance. Now, we'll tell you that bigger companies like USAA, Progressive, Geico have what's called a business-to-business portal where you upload some of the information and you've got to keep track of that. Okay, you've got to, if you send it out and you don't have it back in 2 days, like you've got to keep track of that. Now, we have some systems that we use at our company. I know some of them use a task, like a task within OneDrive within their client folder of things they need to follow up with. I know a lot of brokers use a spreadsheet to keep track of when they've requested something and if it's in. Okay, and there really isn't a good answer. I know that, in my opinion, I have a lot of them, so take it for what it's worth. Okay, in Calyx, if you've never used it before, you also have the ability to track items here. Okay, so you can say preliminary title, we've ordered it, we ordered it on 4/10. I don't know why my due date is blanked out here, but you can say whether or not you received it. Oh, calculate the due date based on, you can do the estimated close date, or you can take this off and you can set the due date for 2 days. Let's say we're ordering it today. The due date is in 2 days, okay? So then what's gonna happen is when you log back into Calyx in this file, these things, you're gonna get some alerts that these things aren't completed. So if you didn't know that you could use this in Calyx, you can. The reason we don't use it is because we don't subscribe to Point Central. So nobody's Calyx speaks to one another. So unless an individual processor wants to use that, we put a spreadsheet in our OneDrive so that everybody can see it at any time. If you're a loan officer and want to know if title work was ordered, you can't see that in somebody else in my company's Calyx because it doesn't speak to each other. So that's why we do it in a spreadsheet. Okay, so now the next thing I want to show you is, let me just pull it up in a screen because I want to make sure that it's, I'm looking at privacy properly. So let me see. Give me just 1 second. I just need to set the page up so that it doesn't have any identifying information on it. Okay. Okay, so here's an example of an approval. Okay, so this is what you're going to get back from underwriting. Okay, it's going to outline the terms of the loan, what kind it is. Sometimes if you get condition, like clearly something went wonky here. We have a front end of 54 and a back end of 130. And I'm like, what the fork happened here? But I digress. Okay, so you're going to get an approval sheet. So this one, and this is a really old one actually, but this one is suspended for restructure. Okay, so this means that based on the information we put in, the underwriter wasn't able to determine whether or not they could approve this loan, and they need more information from us. This happens to be at a lender that we pulled our entire freaking pipeline from because of shit like this. Like, just like half this stuff was uploaded and whoever was sorting it put things in the wrong place. It was a shit show. Okay, so this is, but what you see here, and the most important thing is that what you have here are the numbers. Okay, most approvals are going to have numbers right here. I don't know why it has a second set of numbers. I don't really care. But what I'm going to show you is that when you start collecting your conditions, okay, you're going to label your conditions to match your approval. So this one was a restructure. So for number 1, restructure, I'm going to upload a new 1003 outlining what terms I'm going to change, okay? And then number 3 or number 4 says that the appraisal is shows another owner because it was a seller financing deal and we had already uploaded the purchase contract. So number 4, that might just need to be a letter of explanation, like see attached deed, okay? And number 7 was assets. So number 7 is going to be assets, okay? So that's how I'm going to label them in the folder. So we're going to go back to our OneDrive. Oops, not Facebook. Okay, so we're going to go back to the OneDrive. Okay, and hopefully maybe Mr. Jones has uploaded some of these documents, right? And let's say this is Mr. Jones' folder and this is what he uploaded. So I might rename this to asset number, okay, let's not do that. Number 7, assets. Let's say it's April and May, okay? So I'm gonna save that. Then when I go to re-upload my conditions, okay, I'm gonna go through my approval list and I'm gonna upload as many of those conditions as I can get in as timely as I can get them. Now, if you've got a borrower that's Johnny on the spot and a loan officer that's Johnny on the spot, you should have the majority of this next day. Things like the VOE and insurance, those are gonna probably take a couple of days. So if you're working with a lender that allows you to upload before you have 90% or 100% of the conditions, if you've got the bulk of them and you've got any conditions related to income and assets and property, you got your title and you got your insurance back, put that file back in. Okay, if you talk to the employer and you know you're going to have it at end of business, just wait a second and put the file in at the end of the day. But remember, keep in mind what time of day it is. Okay, so okay. Let's say I get my underwriting approval out at, let's say I get it at 10 o'clock in the morning, okay? I'm not getting any of these conditions in 2 hours to get it back in today, okay? So I'm gonna prioritize this to the afternoon because anything I submit after 12 p.m. anyway is going to be logged for tomorrow. So now I have until 12 p.m. tomorrow to get all the borrower's documents in, see where I'm at with title, see where I'm at with insurance. I can call when I work on this in the afternoon, I can let the employer know like, hey, I don't need this back today, but if I can get it by tomorrow morning, that would be great. I really appreciate you helping us with that. Make sense? Okay. Then I'm going to upload and you're going to go back and forth. You're going to get an updated approval. The conditions are going to get cleared out. You're going to look at what didn't get clear. You're going to help get those ones. You're going to send it back in until you clear everything and you're cleared to close. probably next time we're going to talk about once we get here and in here incorporating the CD process because it's really important. Okay. Now, you don't have to have Calyx to send out the request for title and request for insurance. You can create, now I'm going to upload these requests for title and insurance for reference because you don't need to make, sorry, this is why I don't try to do two things at once because it doesn't really go the way I'm hoping it will. You can make these with an Excel spreadsheet and then put the information on there and send it out. And really all that's on it, so let me just open one really quick, right? Because this is Jaime's and he's, sorry, I just want to make sure that before I screen share, I just want to make sure I don't have anything open that I shouldn't have open. So we're going to open this request for title just so you can see it. Okay, so on this request for title work, it's got our company name. Okay, this would be the title company name. I never put it in. It's kind of a waste of time. I'm emailing it to them. They know who it's going to. Okay, now if you're doing a spreadsheet or you're a third-party processor, you don't have to include this information in there. I will tell you that a lot of times I get title work back with people who have common names. So, you know, like really common in Colorado would be like, what was the one that we just had? No, it was in New Mexico and it was
Chavez.
Chavez. Thank you. It was Chavez. But the title company didn't even look at our title work, which had his social security number on it and date of birth, and they didn't run those checks to eliminate that they were his. So our client had to go back and call the state and call the county and make sure that these weren't his debts when the title company had this information from the get-go anyway. So if you were creating like a reusable document for efficiency, you could just create a spreadsheet that puts the borrower's name, the address that they're buying, their phone number, their email, that this is they're purchasing a primary residence, that it's a purchase, the sales price, sorry, this is their address, the sales price, how much the loan amount is going to be, and then the property address that they're buying with the county. You can include a spot on your spreadsheet for the mortgagee and the loan number, okay? And then we included this. We want the commitment, the CPL, the wire, the preliminary CD with title fees, the tax cert, a survey if the title work or the state requires it, a payoff if it's a refi, and the earnest money receipt. Some of this stuff they're not going to have right away. It takes them a day or two to process it. So you can do this job. If you have a Gmail and you have access to Google Docs, you can create a spreadsheet for this. I'm going to do my best to figure out a way to create a spot where people can like download these resources. I'll just have to keep in mind that as much as I'm doing this for you, I still have a business to run. And so I'm doing my best to like get this stuff out to you, but it might be a day or two before I get like those spreadsheets and figure out how to post them and let everybody know where to find them. But most of you should have some sort of system. If you're doing UWM, okay, if you are using UWM, use Processor Assist, but you have to babysit Processor Assist sometimes. So it's your job as a processor. If you put that stuff in Processor Assist, when you get that approval back, you need to jump into Processor Assist and check the status of that order. We've had Processor Assist orders go 13 days and 7 phone calls with no results. And then I raised a stink and said, why are you not calling me after day 3 if you're not getting any contact from the title company or you're not getting any responses? We've called insurance agents that are like, we're so pissed off at how we've been treated or we've been hounded. We're not sending it to them. We will send it to the buyer, but we are not sending it to them. Okay, so we've had to mitigate some stuff in there, but ultimately it's a service that's provided to us and it's our responsibility to manage it. So when you get that approval back, if you're in UWM, if you get that approval back, okay, and you've got title work and insurance on there and you know you ordered it with Processor Assist, you got to log in, you got to go check Processor Assist, you got to read the notes. And I will tell you, it's 50-50. My processors had to get on the horn for title and insurance to get our documents in, even though she placed the order in processor assist. Because at the end of the day, it's the processor's job to get that stuff in. And if processor assist isn't working or not working well, or they just released their new stuff onto the floor and they don't quite know what they're doing yet, right? We've still got to make sure that that stuff comes in. Okay, so we've got 5 minutes left. I'm gonna open the floor or the call for questions. So just unmute yourself and shoot away. This is like the 4th class in a row where nobody's had any questions, and I think you guys are liars. I'm that good of a teacher. Y'all making me feel good today. Did my hair, my makeup, and no question. All right. Okay, so on Thursday, we're gonna start talking about where the CD comes into play here. Okay, I know we talked about like what you need for a CD, but let's go through the practical process of like, okay, I know that I have the items are cleared from the approval that need to be cleared in order to get a CD out, then what do I do? Okay. And it's always best practice that as soon as those items are clear, that you get that CD out. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the conversation you need to have with the client if you're speaking to the client, or the loan officer, because sometimes the loan officer wants you to have numbers buttoned up and you're like, listen, pal, we're just trying to get it out. We haven't even sent it to title yet. But we'll go over that on Thursday. And the whole hour will be on CDs. Okay? All right, last chance to unmute yourself and ask.
No.